for joining me, Carol May Whittick, for another episode of Higher Energetic Resonance Inspirations. And this week is an exploration of meditation. There's so much turmoil in the external world, and the only true calm that we can find is within us, and that can be cultivated via meditation. So this week, I'll share with you the origins, the benefits, the different practices of meditation that you may want to consider. I also share some interesting writings and quotes. If we can gift ourselves the time and the patience to develop our practice, we're actually creating a haven for our spirit in these challenging times. Hopefully, by listening to this program, it will inspire you to consider creating something consistent for yourself. Also, this week's meditation will not be a guided breathing practice. Instead, I'm going to allow just a sound bath to play for you and invite you just to sit, be still, breathe naturally, and just observe your own experience. So let's get started. And I suppose one of the things we don't necessarily consider is meditation. It's just something that we're all aware exists and that people do. It's like, where does meditation stem from? Who started it? What were the origins? Things that I have found just in looking around is the word meditation derives from meditatum, and that's a Latin term that means to ponder. So when we think of meditation or the origins of meditation, us in the West are open to the fact that it comes from the East. And just relating to things that I found in India, some of the oldest written records from around 1500 BCE in India, the practice of dhyana or jhana is referenced as a training of the mind, often then translated as meditation. Many of these records are coming from the Hindu traditions of Vedantism and are looking at various meditation practices from India. China, early forms of meditation are referenced as far back as the 3rd and 6th century BC, linked to the Taoist Lao Tzu, an ancient Chinese philosopher, and his writings. In his work, many of the terms used in later centuries to describe meditation techniques: Shao Zhong, roughly translated as God in the middle; Bao Yi, embracing the one; Shao Jing, guarding tranquility; and Bao Pu, embracing simplicity. So those are just some of the kind of ideas of where it may have come from, and it's obviously possible to spend a lot more time really digging into where it comes from. In terms of the emergence of meditation in the West, meditation first began to be of interest in the West in the 1700s, when some of the Eastern philosophy texts containing references to meditation techniques and practices were then translated into different European languages. And then by the 18th century, meditation was seen only as a topic for discussion and interest by philosophers and intellectuals. It wasn't until the 20th century that meditation became more prominent, especially in the United States, when a prominent yogi, Swami Vivekananda, delivered a presentation at the Parliament of Religions in Chicago. Just thinking about when there would have been an explosion, probably would have been led by the hippie age and the new age, and in particular led by the big kind of buzz around the Beatles, going off to Rishikesh in the 60s and kind of bringing that into that era. So that's just a little overview of the background of meditation. Now it seems that everyone has an awareness of meditation, and it seems to have overcomplicated itself somewhat. People seem to turn it into something that is something they should do, and it just becomes another chore on the list of things that need to be done. And as beneficial as it is, it seems to be, oh, I haven't got time to do meditation. Now, there's a quote that you've probably heard, and it's gone around, and I've found about 3 or 4 different people who it was attributed to, so I'm just going to leave it anonymous. The quote is, "You should sit in meditation for 20 minutes every day. Unless you're too busy, then you should sit for an hour." in our truncated attention span world, the idea of sitting for an hour and being still and doing nothing, sitting for an hour may seem like an expansive time. I can agree that beginning a meditation when you've never meditated before, there just seems to be so much going on, so much distracting you from the external world. When you sit in meditation, suddenly everything that you need to do, everything that you should have said, every power tool that everyone in the local area has, all seems to come up at the same time. But for me, finding meditation or finding the stillness in meditation is just allowing those noises to be part of the environment so they don't pull me away from what it is that I'm trying to do. I just want to try my best and be still and allow the thoughts that are invariably going to come across my mind to just cross my mind without rating them good or bad, or without getting annoyed that they're there, just getting into the state of noticing. I think when I first started meditation, and this is something I've done on and off, and I will say I do it more now, even if it's sometimes my meditations are part of me walking and just just allowing the environment to make the noise that it does. If I'm lucky enough to find a nature to walk through, then it's slightly more enjoyable than just kind of walking around an urban environment. But even in an urban environment, you can allow those noises to be as musical as birdsong even. Yeah, I did a few courses many, many years ago. I do remember doing a course where one of the things that we learnt to do was a walking meditation, and we were just walking around the room in college really, but it was interesting to just see how you bring yourself into a pattern of relaxation and just being in a space where everything else is allowed to be. But it took some time, and I'm glad I explored that initially. Some thoughts and some quotes about meditation. I found a really great writing from Alan Watts about meditation, and this is just some quotes from his piece, The Art of Meditation. Meditation is the discovery that the point of life is always arrived at in the immediate moment, and therefore if you meditate for an ulterior motive, that is to say to improve your mind, to improve your character, to be more efficient in life, you've got your eye on the future and you're not meditating. The art of meditation is a way of getting in touch with reality. And the reason for it is that most civilized people are out of touch with reality because they confuse the world as it is with the world as they think about it and talk about it and describe it. For on the other hand, there is the real world, and on the other, a whole system of symbols about that world which we have in our minds. Meditation is the way in which we come to feel our basic inseparability from the whole universe. And what that requires is that we shut up. That is to say, we become interiorly silent and cease from the interminable chatter that goes on inside our skulls. Because you see, most of us think compulsively all the time. From Amit Ray, who has written a book, Meditation, Insights and Inspirations. Meditation is listening to the song of the inner soul, seeing the beauty of the inner self, smelling the fragrance of the inner spirit, experiencing the touch of the divine inner energies, and tasting the intense sweetness of the inner God. From Prema Chodron, meditation is a process of lightening up, of trusting the basic goodness of what we have and who we are, and of realizing that any wisdom that exists in what we already have. We can lead our life so as to become more awake to who we are and what we're doing, rather than to improve or change or get rid of who we are or what we're doing. The key is to wake up, to become more alert, more inquisitive and curious about ourselves. Ajahn Brahm. Meditation is like a gym in which you develop the powerful mental muscles of calm and insight. Don't hate the arising of thoughts or stop the thoughts that do arise. Simply realize that our original mind, right from the start, is beyond thought, so that no matter what, you never get involved with thoughts. Illuminate original mind and no other understanding is necessary. So types of meditation, and I'm not necessarily going to go into what these are about. I'll just kind of let them speak for themselves. But meditation, like I said, can be super complicated nowadays. There are apps, there are thousands, if not millions of videos on YouTube. I'm creating my own meditation. So there's so many different ways of doing that. And then there are different structures. So some of them are mindfulness meditation, spiritual meditation, focus meditation, movement meditation, mantra meditation, transcendental meditation, progressive relaxation, loving kindness meditation, visualization meditation, vipassana meditation. The list is probably endless. But the key to getting started, if you don't have any sort of practice, is to find yourself in a quiet space. For most people, it's like a quiet room in the house. If you feel comfortable, you can go and be outside in a park. A nice kind of expansive space where you don't feel self-conscious. It's not even so much about people seeing you. Some people don't mind. Some people are very self-conscious about this. And try even just for 5 minutes and try not to make it complicated. So how would you do that? Just imagine sitting or lying down, although I would say sitting is easier. I'm one for falling asleep very, very quickly. And just go into a state of noticing. So if you think the first couple of minutes, if you're going to do 5 minutes, the first minute or so is just noticing if you're holding any tension in your body. And if you just want to kind of give yourself a whole scan, is just kind of like notice all the way, start from your toes and just work your way up and just feel if you're holding any tension in the body and just allow it to fall away. Give yourself the permission to allow yourself to relax. Then you can also notice your breathing as well. One of the earliest types of meditation that I learned was just to count the breath. And you can just count in and out and count up to 10 and then start again and count up to 10. Find a pattern, find a tempo that gets you to just slow down and just keep counting. Inhale, exhale is 1. Inhale, exhale is 2. Inhale, exhale is 3. And building up to that until you get to 10. If you think you're going to lose your count, use your fingers. Most of us have got 10. If you haven't, I apologize. I'm not trying to offend you. If you place your hands down on your legs, for instance, then what you can do is, as you're counting, is just put pressure on each of the fingers, almost like you're typing or playing the piano, so that you know where you are. So the little finger on the left hand is 1, all the way up to the little finger on the right is 10, and going round again. So that just kind of keeps you moving in a pattern as well. And just see what happens. And as you kind of get into the flow of just gently counting, once that feels like that's becoming second nature and you don't need to focus on that so much, then just see where your mind is. Are things coming up for you? And sometimes it's just good to notice what is that recurring thought. Sometimes there's a reason why something comes up, or maybe you'll be inspired to do something, or maybe you'll find that you get the answer to something that's just niggling you, like a question or something that you have to do. There are so many things that can come from meditation, but sometimes just allowing yourself to sit and stop doing is enough and is a good start. In terms of things that are emotional benefits and mental, physical benefits, people will notice that it's reducing their stress. It's allowing them to sleep better, have better moods, be calmer, finding a great connection and empathy with others are some of the things I'm noticing here. The main thing I would say is, and it's hard in this society where it's all about doing and winning, is just to allow your meditation to be what it is at that point in time. Just try and do 5 minutes to begin with if it's new for you, and see what that 5 minutes feels like. If you've never done meditation before, then 5 minutes will feel like a lot to be still. It's a lot to kind of like slow down and not hear the phone go off and not be checking your emails and not thinking about all the things that you have to do, just kind of bringing everything down. You may even start to kind of feel into your body. You might notice that you hear the inner workings of your body. Your stomach might go. You might kind of have a click in your neck, or it's interesting how when you really get into that inner world, what you actually start to explore. But the great thing about doing anything like this is as you start to cultivate that feeling that you get when you do meditate, is it becomes a place that you want to go to more often and you welcome it. You can use it to contemplate on something. You can take a quote, be it a quote from any kind of books that you read, any religious books, Bibles, scriptures, a quote that you see online that really speaks to you, and just kind of ruminate on that and meditate on that. So I hope that you've found a little bit of inspiration for that, and it's just given you a little bit of a deeper knowing about meditation and inspired you or piqued your curiosity to delve into it a little bit and just see, if you're not already practicing, how it can help you. And I'll leave you with this quote from Edgar Cayce. Prayer is talking to God. Meditation is listening to God. Before I leave you with the sound bath for you to just explore your own meditation or your own stillness and just exploring your own awareness, thank you for listening, of course. And if you want to reach out to me, my email address is info@carolmaywhittick.com. My website is carolmaywhittick.com. That's carolmaywhittick.com. I'm on Facebook under the same name. I am also on Instagram mainly, Kazmick, Cazmick, and on Telegram. There's a little growing group there that is Her Conversations and Inspirations. So I'll leave you with this until next time. So use it for whatever you want to do. Just sit and be still. Enjoy this little journey.